Hello everyone, welcome back to my Time Management for Busy Moms series, part 3. I'm Lorraine Murray with Lorraine Murray Fitness, and if you haven't been with us the first 2 times, we've been taking time management tips and breaking them up into smaller chunks so that you can look at them one day, learn about them, and start applying them to your life to try to help make your days go a little easier. We are on part 3 today, and we are talking about tips 5 and tip 6 today. Now, don't hurt me when I tell you these tips, just trust the process, okay? So let's jump right into it. Tip number 5 is just say no. I know this is gonna be a tough one for some of you, and what do I mean by just say no? As a busy mom or a busy person in general, we have things that are coming into our life that people are asking of us all the time. And no matter how amazing you are at filling your schedule with things, sometimes we need to say no. So examples of this may be, maybe you have school-age children, and if you're like our school, we have things that they ask for volunteers for all the time. And let's be honest, I love my child. I love teaching since that's what I went to school for. And I actually really enjoy being in the school. But I have a preschooler that doesn't go to school every day. And this year has been really tough for me because there's things that I've wanted to say yes to that I couldn't because I have a younger daughter. So what I'm learning and what I want to share with you is that sometimes you have to say no. Maybe you're that mom that actually hates kids besides your own. Why in the world would you go volunteer at your kid's school if you don't enjoy doing it? Say no to those things. If you feel guilty that you need to be volunteering at your kid's school, pick one thing. Pick one thing that sounds interesting, go volunteer, do your duties, and then say no to the rest of them. No one's going to be mad at you. Your kid isn't going to love you less. The teachers are still going to be thrilled that you volunteered for something, and they're going to be so grateful. So stop feeling guilty for saying no to that. Now, if you're like me, you have a million people on Facebook that are asking you to go to their online events and their online parties. Host a party here, host a party there. Let me come to your house and host a party. Everybody's doing it. It's the cool thing to do. I'm not knocking that because we're all just trying to make a living, right? But here's the thing. I don't want to host a lot of parties. I don't love everything everyone's selling. I don't want to buy it. Why would I say yes to hosting this party? I love and support you, but that's not my thing, so I'm not going to host one, and I'm going to say no. It's okay. Your friends will still love you. You can still support them in other ways. You don't have to always be at every party or host a party for every single one of your friends. You're going to get run down and you're going to get annoyed. But you can say yes to the things you love. Maybe you love volunteering in your church nursery. That's what I started doing because I love kids. I'm okay with saying yes to that because it's something I want to do. Say yes to the things that you like and say no to those things that you really don't like. Stop feeling guilty about saying no. You can only be stretched so thin, and you might as well do it on things that you actually enjoy. Okay, so tip number 5, just say no. Tip number 6, you're going to think you're a professional at, and I'm going to tell you otherwise. Tip number 6 is stop multitasking. It is proven that we as humans are actually horrible at multitasking. We think we're spectacular, and the better we think we are at it, the worse we actually are. So here's 7 reasons why you should avoid multitasking. First of all, it slows us down. It takes your brain longer to process switching between tasks than it actually allows you to focus on. So if you focus on one task and get it done and move on to the next, you're actually going to be more productive than trying to go from here and here at the same time and doing them at the same time. Number 2, especially this really comes down to any important task, working, writing school paper, not writing school papers, but signing forms and things like that. You make more mistakes when you multitask. If I am trying to write for my business and I'm watching TV, I'm going to miss things. I'm going to make mistakes in my writing, or I'm going to make mistakes in my information. And what's that doing for me? Nothing. It's not helping at all. So you're going to make more mistakes if you multitask. It's stressing you out, regardless if you think it is or not. Maybe you think that you're just doing this amazing thing and you are so not stressed. I promise you it's stressing you out because in the back of your head you're worrying, did I fill out that form for my kids' field trip? Did I remember to send in that report for my work? the more you do at the same time, the more you're going to worry, and it's stressing you out. Your heart rate's getting higher, and then at the end of the day, you're just exhausted because you've tried to do too much at one time. Your memory suffers. It's proven that as the older you get, it's harder to go back to the things you were doing. So if you're doing one thing and you go to the other, it takes longer and longer to go back to that first thing. And my prime example is this. My husband comes home all the time. He's like, Lorraine, why are the dishes from lunch still on the table? And I'm going to tell you. So this is what my day looks like typically when lunch happens. I pick up Payson from preschool. We come home. We have lunch. I have approximately an hour and 30 minutes before I have to go get Raylan. And sometimes Payson needs a nap. So as soon as she's done with lunch, I run her upstairs. It takes me 20 minutes to get the kid to sleep so that she can maybe get an hour nap. By the time I'm done getting her down for a nap, I have completely forgotten about lunch. So the plates sit there, dinner comes around, and I go, oops, sorry about that, Steve. Had I just put the dishes in the sink or the dishwasher, they still wouldn't be there, and I wouldn't have forgotten about them. So your memory does suffer. Number 5, we tend to overeat when we're multitasking. How many of us are guilty of watching TV or being on our cell phones when we eat? I know I am. And what this does is it causes you to not pay attention to what you're eating. And when that happens, we just eat because we're focused on something else. If you put the technology down and you actually spend time focusing on your eating, focusing on what you're eating, how slowly you're eating, you're gonna realize that your body's not hungry anymore and you're going to stop. And then you're not going to overeat as much. So I challenge you to put the technology down at dinner, spend it with your family, spend it alone just with your thoughts. Let your mind just relax during the time that you're eating, and you're not gonna overeat nearly as much. Number 6, this is a big one, guys, especially for us moms. It's hurting our relationships. It is hurting your relationship with your children. It's hurting your relationship with your spouse. Hey, Brittany, thank you very much. But it's hurting your relationships. How many times have you and your husband or your wife, whoever's listening to this, you're having this conversation and you get a text message and you're like, hey, hang on 1 second. And then that's it. Like, the conversation stops because your spouse is angry at you because you just looked at your text message in the middle of your conversation. Sorry, Steve, I'm throwing you under the bus. Steve gets emails all day long from work, and he is so incredibly guilty of me being in the middle of telling him something, and he looks at his email and he has no idea what I said, and I get so mad that I just stop talking. And I'm sure I do it to him. It's just much easier for me to tell you what he's done to me. Anyway, so stop. You're hurting your kids whenever you're like, yeah, I'll play a game with you, and like in between every turn, it's their turn and you're just texting on your phone, talking on Facebook. That hurts them, guys. It hurts their feelings. It makes them feel that they're not important. So it's hurting your relationships when you're trying to do your phone and play a game with your kids. Just stop. Give them 10 to 15 minutes of undivided attention, and your relationships are going to be far greater. And number 7, and this is one that we all know about and we all ignore. It's dangerous. I can actually honestly say I am not a person that texts while I drive. I never do that because my kids are always watching, and I know that. And I know how dangerous it is, and I'm a big rule follower. I don't know if you know that about me, but I am a super big rule follower. I don't really speed. I do talk on my phone through my hands-free thing on my phone, but I do not text. I do not check email or anything like that while I'm driving, mainly because I want to set a good example for my children. But guys, how many of you are guilty of it? Or how many of you know someone that has rear-ended someone because you were texting? Maybe it wasn't hard, but you bumped into him at a red light because you weren't paying attention. Or, you know, you hear those stories of people getting hit by cars in parking lots because they were looking down at their phone and they walk out into the parking lot and get hit by a car. It's just dangerous. There are so many things that we're distracted by now that we really just need to be focusing on that one task. So, recap. Say no. Say no to the things you don't enjoy and say yes to the things you do. You're going to save time. Your life is going to be more fulfilled because you're not doing these things that you hate, and stop feeling guilty for it. There's no reason to feel guilty. And tip number 6 for today, avoid multitasking. There are so many reasons that it is proven that it is bad for us. Pick your task and finish it and move on to the next. And you're gonna feel like you're accomplished because you're actually getting things done and checking it off your task list for the day. And you're just gonna be more focused on it and doing a better job at it. So I hope these tips are helpful. Tomorrow we are actually gonna wrap up the series. So I know it's Saturday, but hop on for one more amazing tip that's super duper important, probably the most important in my opinion. And I thank you so much for hopping on, and thank you for watching this. I hope it's been helpful to you. And if you didn't get to catch it all, go back and watch it or check back later for my blog that I will post a link to this. So you guys have a fantastic Friday, and I will talk to you later. Bye.